Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the URC quarterfinals. Now, 3 out of the 4 have already been confirmed. We will see the Glasgow Warriors, the Bulls, and the Stormers. But now another opportunity for a South African side, the Lions. They come in at 7th ranked and they go head-to-head with Leinster, side that just recently did lose the Champions Cup final. They've stacked their side here, looking for redemption. Last year in the Champions Cup, they were knocked out in the semis. They beat their next opponent by about 65 points. So it's not a good time to be the Lions. But if they can somehow hold off on the early onslaught at the Aviva, we can maybe see 3 South African sides in the semi-finals of the competition. But looking through at the starting lineup, starting off with Leinster, it is pretty much the Irish international side in terms of the players that they have selected here. Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong as the front row. Joe McCarthy and James Ryan make up the locking duo with Max Deegan, Scott Penny and Caelan Doris. Slots in, or it goes in as that number 8. Luke McGrath as the 9 option here with Sam Prendergast at 10. No James Gibson Park for this contest. James Lowe out on the left wing. Now, his future's a little bit uncertain. Hasn't signed an extended contract deal with Leinster as of yet. Could end up going overseas. Could end up, I don't know, even back in New Zealand in the near future perhaps. But we will see over the next couple of months. Jamie Osborne in the midfield alongside Rico Ioane at 13. Jimmy O'Brien out on the right. No Tommy O'Brien for this game. And Hugo Keenan at number 15 in the starting lineup for the Lions. It is SJ Kutsia, PJ Botia and Sebastian Lombard starting at 3. Novnachu as the 4 with Darian Landsberg at 5. Mahashi, Rachane and also Frankie Horn. He is there as the number 8. Nico Stein alongside Chris Smith as that 9 and 10 combination. No Morne Vandenberg due to his recent injury. Eric Cronje out on the left wing. Richard Creel and Hinko van Wyk make up the midfield. Now, Van Wyk looked like he was injured last week, or the week prior, I believe it was. So great news that he is back and rearing to go here. Angelo Davids and Kieran Horn slots in as the number 15. So it's 2 strong starting lineups. These 2 sides met recently in the URC, and it was a victory to Leinster at the same location, 31 points to 7. The Lions, of course, would want to start a lot better than they did in that contest. Try and hold off on one of the favourites of this competition, but hopefully you guys are all doing well. It is currently 6:47 a.m. here in New Zealand. I have not slept since yesterday, so the brain will slowly shut down as this match progresses, but we have once again got the quiz going on, ladies and gents. As you can see, that little QR code in the bottom corner, as well as in the pinned comment, there is the link to be able to join for the future quiz. It is the same as what happened on the Super Rugby one. Also, how it's $30 that they are putting in for next play. And then from there, it's an extra $10 for every 10 people who take part. So be sure to get on there, get some predictions going, and then you can potentially win yourself some URC merch. We have got I'm about to make a Lekker Brandy and Coke, and I'm waiting to see how the Lions play first so that I know how strong to make it. That is probably a good choice because Leinster, let's be honest, if they are angry and they are determined, we could see them score a try within 5 to 10 minutes of this contest, and it may not be that much longer before they score another one. But the Lions, like I mentioned at the very start, they have to survive the early onslaught, because if they don't, this could be a long day at the office. We haven't seen a huge amount of close URC semi or quarterfinals, at this point in time, but we do know a couple of the results. And we'll go like this. There we go. As you can see, Glasgow versus the Bulls. That is confirmed as one semi-final. That one will be taking place at Murrayfield. The Stormers, well, they are either going to be hosting the Lions in Cape Town, or if Leinster manage to win this game, they will be heading to the Aviva, go head-to-head with Leinster there. And in also recent form for these 2 sides, as you can see, one of them have been a lot more busy throughout May. That is due to the Champions Cup commitments that we have seen from Leinster. Their semi-final up against Toulon, narrowly winning that one 29 points to 5, getting the win over the Lions, a big win over Ospreys 68 to 14, and then in that final up against Bordeaux, it was on neutral ground in Spain, but you wouldn't have thought it. The crowd firmly behind the Bordeaux side there. The flags were waving, the crowd was cheering, but in the end, Bordeaux getting a statement victory, 41 points to the 19, but that is not necessarily a bad thing for Leinster. Of course, you'd love to win that championship, but last year they did get knocked out of the Champions Cup, but they went on and won the whole URC, and that is exactly what Leinster want to do here. We have not seen a side go back-to-back in this competition. Munster, they were able to beat the Lions in their most recent outing of the URC campaign. So yeah, Lions coming off 2 losses in a row, heading into this stage of the competition. They still managed to qualify within that top 8 though, and that is the main thing that they had to be focused on there. But now this is going to be a big one. Hope you got some rest, Hamish. I'm planning on getting some a little bit later on. I should say rest rather than anything else. We have got the evening. Hope you're ready. And did you eat? I had something at about 3 a.m. I think it was about the time that I've had my last food. So it was like recently, but still wide awake somehow. But I think that's going to change as the match progresses, depending on this result. I'm hoping it's going to be a really close back and forth kind of game. Keep me on the edge of my seat. And also, we'll see whether or not I can do all right in the next play quiz, because last time I finished, I think it was 2nd or 3rd in the overall standings for that Connacht versus Glasgow Warriors game. So see if we can get right up there and this one as well. But do let me know your score predictions for this one, ladies and gentlemen. We were watching a few of the games of the Sevens. We saw the Blitzboks manage to get themselves the victory over Spain. So they have qualified for the semi-finals. They will be going head-to-head up against Argentina, which was actually the final of the last championship leg. We see on the other side of the draw, Fiji versus Australia. 70% says Lions will win. Leinster by 15 plus, says PB. Yeah, that may be more so for that poll who they want to win rather than who is going to win, because the thing is, all of the Stormers supporters are firmly behind the Lions, and the reason they are firmly behind the Lions is because if the Lions win this game, the Stormers get to host the semi-final. So there's a little bit of extra support, of course, coming out of South Africa for the sake of the Bulls. When you consider the fact that they're playing Glasgow Warriors, it's actually better, technically, for Leinster to lose this game, because then the Bulls can play a home final or maybe a home South African final in Cape Town potentially as well. So I think all of South Africa will be going for the Lions here, whereas Leinster, they will have the support of a few of the other Irish sides. They are the last ones standing out of Ireland. We have seen Munster fall, Connacht fall, and also Ulster not even in the top 8, very unluckily, because they were in some phenomenal form up until that Challenge Cup started taking the priority. We have got there, yes, but the question was who is going to win, or who do you want to win, says PB. But yeah, I think people are still going to pick the team that they like better, no matter what that question said. I could have said who has the shinier boots. People still would have probably picked the Lions if they did like the Lions. They're a little bit more. Glasgow Bulls, Leinster Stormers, says Sean. So he is going with an all top 4 final in that regard. Lions, but baby, says Ruth. And also great Joe, sausage rolls and beers. Can't go wrong, says Ruth. Sounds like you've got the weekend sorted. Of course, it is currently sitting Sunday here in New Zealand, but still Saturday night for you guys in South Africa. But by the end of this matchup, we will know exactly who is playing who in the quarterfinals. Super Rugby side of things has all been confirmed as well. So more than likely, we will have 5 matches taking place next weekend alongside the Bordeaux Sevens as well. And hey, everybody, Adam here from the Next Play team. I will be putting in the prediction style quiz link in the pinned comment, so please get over and join. So yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to click on that pinned comment. What it was, or what it is what we did on a few of those other streams involving pretty much joining in, trying to get your predictions right in terms of who's going to score a try, what's the score going to be. And if you end up getting it right, you get yourself some URC merchandise supplied by Next Play. But 5 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest at the Aviva. So I think that this is going to be one of those situations where we really do see Leinster. I just don't see a way they don't come out absolutely trying to put the foot down and hammer into this Lions side. But I do like the physicality that the Lions have been able to bring, and they have actually had some very good moments throughout their URC season. Now, I will say without Morné van den Berg, that's a little bit of a gap that they would have liked to maybe have been able to fill. They have got Hassim P making his way off the bench rather than starting. It was an interesting choice to go with Stain, but he's also had a few good moments. Still no Azanati Klapakanya, of course, in terms of that front row, which has changed the dynamic a little bit of this Lions scrum. I do reckon Lions will have the shinier boots, actually. They wiped them with Glasgow a couple of weeks ago at Ellis Park, says Youngco. And also we have got there, the winner gets $30 to spend at their favourite team's merch store for every 10 more people who join and answer at least 3 questions. We add $10 more. Prize can go up to $100 total. So yeah, the white and you're in there. And Hamish, I trust Lions going to win. says Haino. It's going to be tough, but I am expecting you to do well on the quiz, Haino, because I feel like you've been close a couple times. You joined late on the Super Rugby one and still almost made it to the top. What, the semis Friday and Saturday at the same time? No, those are just the technicalities in terms of who's playing who, but the actual game times are going to be confirmed later on. More than likely, there'll be an early game and a late game, or they'll end up going with one on the Friday night up north and then one on the Saturday afternoon/night. But yeah, once they have the confirmation, the teams are allowed to then decide when they want to play. So then they'll let, of course, the higher ups know. What happened to the Stormers versus Cardiff game? I missed it, says Hardis. So it started off pretty even. In fact, it probably got to about 50 minutes of being quite even between the two. And then from there, the Stormers took control. The injury, though, of Sasha Feinberg and Ngumezulu will be interesting to see what comes of that, whether or not he is going to be available to play in the next contest, or whether he is going to be out of that number 10 jersey, and perhaps that causes a few disruptions in the Stormers' overall game plan when they go head-to-head with the winner of this contest. Hopefully, says Haino, and also Next Play Prize Sports merch, $30 base for every 3 people that join. For every 3 people that join, just a username and play 3 or more questions adds $10 and no obligation to sign in. Yeah, pretty much you just put your username. So I've put the Kiwi Lads down as mine. And we'll wait to see whether or not I get any questions right today. Sasha's season might be over, according to reports. See, being over seems, I don't want to say dramatic, but it does seem like worst case scenario that people are jumping to. But at the same time, I do think that Sasha, the fact that he was able to walk off rather than having to get carried off, I think that's a slightly good sign. We have got there, am I the only one who gets a bit annoyed with the prevalence of sponsors in South African teams? There's no need to have fertility secure drive in the name. It makes cumbersome and obnoxious. Yeah, well, I was talking to one of the Next Play guys about that just before, how, you just call them the Lions. It's much easier, even though the sports or the sponsors there. I like the DHL Stormers. I like the Vodacom Bulls. Anything that has more than one word of a sponsor's name, I think, does drag out the team's name a bit too much. Like Hollywood Bet Sharks is getting a bit long, but then, yeah, like you said, Vitality, whatever it is, Lions is a bit of a tongue twister. Sasha's done, we all know it. I don't know if he is. I think he slapped his legs together and hurt his shin. I don't know whether or not he's completely out, though. I think he should be fine. And if it doesn't play next week, hopefully he'll be able to play in the final if the Stormers do make it that far. But they are just showing Leo Cullen as the coach of this Lions side, of this Leinster side. But you see there, Landsberg, the big Zimbabwean, and the locking duo for the Lions, Klakane, Frankie Horn, and Mahashi has actually been in some of the best form out of anyone in the loose forwards trio. Ruan Fenter. They're also missing, there is another loose forward who's out at the moment that they would like to have. I think it must be a strain. They took him off to protect him, says Cuppy. Yeah, at that stage of the match, it seemed like they had almost confirmed the victory. Now, of course, things can happen. Where's the link, anyone? I don't have the QR scanner, so it is the one in the pinned comment. Hang on. I think it was supposed to be in the pinned comment, but it didn't put it in the pinned comment. There we go. We'll put that there now, ladies and gents, so you should be able to join. That's my bad. I did initially click for it to change over. There we go. That should now pop up nicely with the Next Play link so that you guys can all take part as the Lions make their way out onto the field. We are 1 minute away from kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. Fertile, prosperous, and multiplying Lions roar, says G-Mans. Now we have 171 watching the stream, but only 5 people have joined the quiz. That's my bad. I clicked the wrong button and didn't link it as the pinned comment. But I think a few more people will be joining now, getting ready to go for this Leinster versus Lions game. Kaylin Doris, I lead this side out. Can't wait to go to the Lions and ours. Hamish, appreciate the long slog, mate, says Terrence. Yeah, somehow we're still going. I don't even remember what the first stream was that we did of the day. I think it would have been almost Super Rugby, maybe. Oh, we got the final score prediction question coming through as well, ladies and gents. So if you haven't already, be sure to flick that answer through. You've got 60 seconds to be able to answer that question. And again, if you get it right, you get some merchandise. Be sure to do it. Good morning, says Sophia. Welcome in. you are doing extremely well. Hello, says Justin Larkin. Hello, Justin. James Lowe getting to lead the side out onto the field here. Be excited to be back out there on the field. So today we find out whether Leinster coaches should have rested their best players during the European final once they saw the game was gone. Says Scatu. Yeah, but it's very easy to say that they should rest certain players, but then you only have 7 or 8 subs, don't you? So, it makes things difficult. Having those 8 men to make their way off the bench, you can't take everyone off. But I think it would have done them a world of good to be out there playing up against Bordeaux. And now up against this Lions side, a team that they bet 31-7 at the same location less than a month ago, only actually about 3 weeks ago. The victory, but Kewan Horn ready to go. We'll be kicking off this one from left to right. And where do we vote, says Terence? It is on that pin comment link or the QR code. And we have got there Sam on. He is going to be in the number 10 jersey, Sam Prendergast, for this contest. He was not playing in that Champions Cup game just last week up against Bordeaux in the final. But McGrath inside of the 22. He is going to go for a kick downfield and just gets it in touch. Maybe didn't quite get the distance on it that he would have been after. Yeah, be sure to answer those questions as they go. You will also be able to take part in the quiz while also still watching this live stream, so a bit of multitasking. And the points become more and more as the game progresses. PJ Bota ready to throw this ball in here for the Lions. They have to be the first team to score. I got caught out by the clock and ended up picking the final score as 22-1 to Leinster. Didn't mean it quite like that. Now, backline movement here at the moment. It's happening for the Lions. Back across to the left-hand side. Mahashe with a good carry forward. In fact, that time it was Landsberg. Now, Morne Vandenberg not playing in this game. So, Nico Stain gets the big opportunity at the start. And then Hassim Pete to make his way off the bench later on. You know what? If they had rested their players earlier, maybe the bench would have had more play time to prepare for URC elimination matches. Just saying. I feel like that's always going to be an agree to disagree situation, isn't it? In terms of, they didn't want to pack up and go home early up against Bordeaux. They'd rather have stuck it out. And I feel like that's also something for the players' mentality. You don't, when you're a good player, go, oh, well, we've lost this game. I might as well hop off the field. Even if there's a challenge around the week. Nicely claimed by Leinster here, just out from the line. Dan Sheehan runs it forward. Has pressure in the breakdown from Lombard, who almost knocked himself over the ball, but it's still on the side of Leinster with McGrath. Ready to roll it back. Leinster 31, Lions 35. Prediction there from Paul. Kick downfield. Nicely taken here. Now Kewan Horn. The directional change. Scott Penny misses the tackle, but nicely done by McGrath, who is a massive veteran when it comes to this Leinster side. Do you think that Leinster win today? They should do. They are the biggest favourites of this round in the URC. The Lions, they did lose by about 24 points the last time that they played at the Aviva, although nice short ball to Richard Creel. Gets back up to his feet as he wasn't held. And has another bit of a crack at going to the try line. And a penalty, though, awarded to Leinster. The first arriving player was Scott Penny, who got in there and managed to turn it over. Sarah says hi. Says Terence, welcome in to Sarah. We have got their PSG, have just beaten Arsenal on pins. Says Rab. I know a couple of the next play boys, they were watching it closely. I saw it was 1-1 as they walked past, but I guess it ended 1-1, and then now they've got the penalties. PSG won, did they? I remember what happened to Ireland in the World Cup. They kept playing their best team in all the games. The bench had not enough time. So the drop is too big at the tail end. Says Scatu. And we have there, come on, Leinster, says Connor. And also Lions 22 to Leinster's 18. And already an injury here for PJ Bota. That man has had 2 weeks off and is still picking up the early injury. Well, I think they're just going to strap up the ankle and go, nah, he'll be right. Keep him going for a little bit longer. 3 minutes into this last URC quarter final. Some nervous coaches in both of the boxes. None more nervous, though, than Leo Cullen. No one knows what that man's future holds at the moment, whether or not he will still be Leinster's coach for next season. Even if he wins the URC, some people still want to sack him. So it's a hard job being a coach. Dan Sheehan ready to throw this one in and has gone to the front to Max Deegan. Cross there, McGrath goes to Prendergast, moving it on to the captain, Caelan Norris, who gets a good leg drive going, makes a couple extra metres through the tackle of SJ Kutsia. Now bumped off with Stain. Sheehan moves up to about 20. Well, no, not quite 20, about 40 out from the line currently, just staying in the field of play with Deegan. Going to fire it back across to the right-hand side. Big Joe McCarthy. An elusive lock with a great offload. Going to have to use it there. Now, Thomas Clarkson. Oh, he's actually in the starting lineup. I wonder if that is a late change. Furlong initially named, but it seems like Clarkson has taken on that number 3 jersey. Ball is in the hands of the Lions, currently on the halfway line after the turnover. Bit of a loose carry from the Leinsterman. Charge down there, a Q1 Horn's kick. Picked up by Chris Smith. Passes back to Horn. Decides against the pass. Or the kick this time, Mahashi. Going up, Frankie Horn. Forward pass out to Q1 Horn. And they'll go back now for the scrum in favour of Leinster. Did the Stormers win? They certainly did, yes. A bit of an extra push there from James Lowe on Mahashi. There's been a lot of feeling in these playoff matches. Leinster by total domination. So what's a scoreline that you'd consider as total domination? What kind of amount does that sit at? Have you a Lions coach? What tactics would you prefer for today's game? Counter-attack and fast game? Says Skatu. I think for the Lions, quick start is their key. Because they're not playing at altitude, which is a massive bonus. They don't have to worry about that fatigue factor later on in the game. It's not raining, so they don't have to worry about that side of things. So you start quick, you put Leinster under pressure, because if you don't stick it to them in the first 20 minutes, Leinster will run away with this game. So you have to get on the board first, or at least early on in this contest if you're the Lions, or else Leinster will go into cruise control and do what they did a few weeks ago and win around that 31-7 mark. Now, I think the Lions know that deep down, so they have to be physical, they have to get in those breakdowns, and they have to look for the opportunities to get that ball back. But for now, it's going to be in the hands of Leinster for another scrum reset. Both teams are racing the set of the referee. We've just got the question about where the drive will end as well. We'll put that one there. And we'll lock that in. We have there. Good evening all, says Jimbo. Welcome in. It's our Sharks are looking sharp against Newcastle, 21-5 in the first 20 minutes, says Rory. How the Bulls play today? They played a pretty solid game of rugby up against Munster. Munster were nowhere near as close as some would have anticipated. Good evening all, says Jimbo. Being told to use it now. McGrath goes across to Sam Prendergast, popping it in behind James Lowe, out to Rico Ioane. Oh, he slammed hard on his face there, Ioane, having his arm at an awkward angle. Now McGrath moves across to the right-hand side. This is just good phase play at the moment from Leinster, waiting for the Lions to either leave that gap or make a mistake defensively, but the ball goes out wide now. Jimmy O'Brien, good pace shown from him. Mahashi waiting there. Oh, that might have been an accidental knock-on from Eric Cronje. And it looks like it's just going to be ruled as the knock-on. I'm sure Leinster coach, how quickly do you bring on your bench as soon as you have 20 or 30 points difference, says Skatu? I feel like that's one that you're just trying to set me up for failure there. Because whatever I say, you'll say, no, that's not early enough. But Sam Prendergast with that nice wide cut-out pass there, going out to O'Brien, who was tackled well by Q Horn. And it was just in the process of trying to make the tackle there for Eric Cronje. Caught the forearm. Oh no, in fact, the fingertips in there. Are you feeling tired, says Sophia? I was about an hour ago. And then I feel like I found I would call it about my fourth wind at this stage. But yeah, there was a little bit of tiredness that was kicking in a wee while, but now we're good. Hopefully. We have their hard as Lions, but head knows what that won't happen, says Hensel. Right, those 7.5 minutes in, they haven't conceded yet. The Lions of Leinster do not get this, or do not get with 6K in the stadium. It means fans lost faith in Cullen, says Sean O'Farrell. Now, that one's going to be... Wait, what's happened here? Oh, scrum reset from the referee. It looked like he had the arm out for the advantage, which meant that McGrath decided he'd just run it. Do we know attendance yet? Not yet, no, but it doesn't look very many at all. Will the bottle jobbers bottle again? Says James. No subs for both teams today, says Joe Man. I can pop them up on the screen for yourself. There you go. Those are the benches for both of these teams. McCarthy, Uzanov, and Clarkson was going to be off the bench, but he is now in the starting lineup, so I assume that's a late withdrawal from Furlong. Mangan and Josh van der Flair there as the number 20. Gibson Park off the bench too with Harry Byrne and Robbie Henshaw. So a lot of guys who played in last week's Champions Cup final for the Lions. They've got Murray, they've got Davids and Skurman, Delport Kwama, JC Pretorius, Reniard Jonker and Hassim Pede. So going with that 6-2 split here for the Lions side. But now told to use it there. McGrath going off to the left-hand side. Prendergast. Nice step there from Hugo Keenan. He gets only about 7 metres out 3 lines. Having to make the tackle, including Cronje. Long way off his left wing. McGrath thought he saw half a gap next to the breakdown. Didn't work out initially, but made a couple more metres after Mahashi. Big clean out on him. The Lions swarming here in the breakdown, trying to get any sort of opportunity to steal that ball away from Leinster. Now Rico Ioane passes it across to the right-hand side with a crisp pass. Wide cut-out pass. Leinster score the try. And it's Dan Sheehan who found himself situated out on the wing. And Leinster strike early, the Lions' worst nightmare. But that is the worst-case scenario for this Lions team. Leinster just continuously going. And we have got there... I get up on the Kiwi lads with 1,000 points to start off. Says White Newer there. And Champions League final just finished. Guess that's where everyone is, says Jimbo. A good run there from Dan Sheehan after the nice pass. I think Rico Ioane probably deserves a bit of credit there. That was a nice, crisp pass out to O'Brien. They might check to see if that one's forward, actually. Looked pretty flat. But it is going to be the kick attempt here for Sam Prendergast. Only 10 minutes through the contest, though, and that is the start that Leinster needed after last week. Just saying there about how Joey Carberry is going to be back in the equation next year, but now kicking this one, Sam Prendergast, he gets that one over. And it makes the score now 7 points to 0. We see there Jack Conan. We see there Tyke Furlong also wearing a hoodie. So... I don't think that he's going to be continuing, maybe even for the rest of the season, depending on what the injury or sickness is. There's an HIA already here. This is going to be for one of the Lions players by the sounds of it. It is actually Cronje who has to make his way from the field. And huge 5,000 points on that question. Who got it right? I think I might have actually got that one right, believe it or not. But the change already, and when you've got a 6-2 split, having to replace a back already can be absolutely brutal. How many games of these guys played it, or how many of these guys played on the Champions Cup final? Because they'll be at such a high gear, says Cool Story. So quite a few of them, and also the bench is stacked with guys from that Champions Cup final as well. The likes of a Gibson Park, a Josh van der Flair. But Leinster up 7 points. In the 11th minute, Sale Sharks continue to score more than a point a minute versus Newcastle. We have there, Gatto is on top of the leaderboard. One's going to be put into touch by Leinster, and Lions will have themselves the line out now, about 30 metres out from the Leinster line. Am I still in the... No, I'm nowhere near the top 3 at the moment. I'm in 4th. Well, that's quite close, actually. And anyone who does want to join, it is the pinned comment as well as that QR code that pops up in the bottom corner every once in a while. It's pretty much live predictions all throughout the game. And then if you finish number 1 on the leaderboard, you get yourself some URC merch. Line out here, I see Zan the Man is at the top of the bunch alongside Adam. So Zan the Man, of course, is Xander. Oh, overthrown line out there from the Lions, picked up by Dan Sheehan. Oh, that was an awkward landing. Now, this is a bit of an unfortunate one, because the Lions player probably couldn't have pulled out of that. Gosh damn it, Arsenal have failed. Wasn't meant to be, I guess. How's everyone doing? See you, Sebastian. Welcome in. If you do want to take part in the prediction, Seb, the one that Flesham was talking about earlier on, it is that pinned comment. Leaderboard currently is in that bottom corner too. But yeah, there was nothing really that Nico Stain could have done there with the fact that Dan Sheehan jumped almost over the top of him. Yeah, that's not good. At the 20-point difference, mark him out. Says Cool Story. A line out here for Sheehan, brave effort by Arsenal, but PSG kept their nerve in the shootout. Full pass and obstruction try. The BS already started. Says Mr. Biltong. Nice take there from James Ryan. Now going away to Scott Penny. Sam Prendergast down behind. Nice short pass, Ioane. Another offload. This is beautiful stuff from Leinster. The pass out wide. And now O'Brien, all he has to do is finish it off. He's been held up, though. That is perfectly done by the Lions defender. I want to say it was Henko Fun Fake, but he couldn't have actually ended up any better off in that scenario. In fact, it's looking like Kewan Horn because O'Brien was half a metre short of the line. Horn pretty much not croc roll, because that sounds like he's done it illegally, but like pretty much, in wrestling how you grab them and you roll them. He's rolled him up on top so that he had no way of putting that ball down, and then his Lions teammate all swarmed in to stop. Pretty flat ball from James Lowe to Rieko Ioane too. And we have there, where was this last weekend for Leinster, says Geza. And can you say hello to my son Leighton? He will love it when he is listening together, or when we are listening together, he's 10. Says Jack Lewis. So yeah, shout out to Leighton. Now moving this one up to the 22 here for Leinster again. Prendergast with the inside pass. The Lions are defending at every opportunity that they can. Looking for that turnover once more. Now McGrath, 14 minutes into the contest here. Andrew Porter firing it out to Jamie Osborne. This is a combination in the midfield that I think a lot of people actually wanted to see in the Champions Cup final, with Osborne getting the start rather than making his way off of the bench. But Ryan set up again. 15 metres out from the line here. Leinster still going phase after phase, looking for the metres anytime they can get them. Ioane passes to Prendergast, short ball going straight through. Hugo Keenan gets another one for Leinster this season, and now they lead 12 points to 0. To 16 people in the quiz. The prize pool was climbed to $40. Just 4 more participants will boost it to $50. Invite your friends and get them involved, says Whitenure. And there as well. But it's actually the Sam Prendergast and Rieko Ioane show at the moment for this Leinster side. Ioane's looking almost as good as I think we've ever seen him look for Leinster throughout this season. A mismatch, says Cool Story. Well, the last time that they played only a few weeks ago, it was 31-7. So, a scoreline roughly that same kind of situation probably wouldn't be a mile off. But we shall see. How we over there, young goat, says Ruth. Prendergast looks like he's doing well. Yeah, he's controlling the game at the moment. And this looks like another injury potentially for the Lions. SJ Coetzee very slow to get back up towards the halfway line. Handballs are through to the semis. Stormers are through to the semis. Could all South African teams go through? No pressure, Lions, says Craig. Well, they've got a bit of a mountain to climb. They're down 14-0 after 16 minutes in this contest. I mentioned about what happened last year. When Leinster were knocked out of the Champions Cup semi-final, we then ended up seeing them beat the next side that they faced by around 60-plus points. Now another backline movement here for Leinster. James Lowe had a bit of a juggle with the ball, but he kicks it in behind. I want to know an interesting fact, Hamish? Maybe, depending on what it is. That's kicked out on the full from the Lions. So there's again going to make it a line-out for Leinster inside of the opposition half. Premier Sports supposed to be shown in this match, so Champions League final on both stations. Well, that's a bit rough, the fact that they doubled down on the same game. And not going well for the Lions, says Big Rig. And most interesting rugby fact, in my opinion, is that Lomu never scored against the Box, says Rory. And Morena Kiwi lads Farnell. I give him a taste of Kiwi, Rico and Lowy. And watching you on Irish language TV, but listening to you. I feel like this is the first URC without a South African team in the final, says Cool Story. 55 months. That's, the thing is, right, that's pretty much 5 years. It's not, 5 months off 5 years, isn't it? That's a very long time, Sebastian. We have to try and get some sort of special badge for the 5-year mark, won't we? Try and make it a big milestone. James Lowe is on his way to Gloucester, says Dazza, and James Lowe won't want this to be his last match for Leinster if rumours are to be believed. And also PSG, says Joe. Pijaborta, just getting a bit of medical attention here as well. The Lions at the moment are walking wounded out there. That's about their third or fourth player who has gone down with injury. And we've got to remember Eric Cronje also went off the field for the HIA. I don't believe he's returned as of yet. Now Max Deegan passes across there. Caelan Doris moving it on. Osborne looked like a knock-on from Leinster that time, and they are playing under knock-on advantage. We got Geza, has said glad to be a member as well. There we go. And also, we have there, it's on TG4, thanks. Sadly, looks like it's going to be a repeat of their last clash at the stadium, says Mandy. Yeah, that last time was 31-7 between the two sides. And yeah, the Lions really struggling to find their rhythm, their momentum at all. And we have got their PSG just won the Champions League for the 2 years consecutively. I think that's supposed to be. And now there's another injury here, Sebastian Lombard. Although I think this might have been to do with his boots rather than a proper injury. I think it was just the fact that the laces maybe all ended up going undone. Now they're trying to take all of the strapping off so that he can take the shoe off and switch to his other boots. We have got there, Big Red, that is gold. So here's Rory. And we have got there, is there a button where I select my option that I can immediately show the chat again? It stays on the option screen until the timer runs out, says Xander. It's probably a very good question. But just doing the boots up here for Sebastian Lombard. But this reset, referee, I should say, just looks sick of all the stoppages already here. Seems like he's just hoping to keep this game flowing as smoothly as he can. Having a bit of a chat there with Andrew Porter. And didn't even come in for Munster's game because of the UCL final. Seems like I've done myself a favour by not watching it, says Sebastian. Yeah, it just seemed like Munster weren't up for today. You know, sometimes when they've gone to South Africa, similar to what we saw earlier on in the year, I think it was 34-31 or something like that, and it just didn't happen this time round. In the game that they would have wanted it to the most. Lions just firing their forwards up here. We start blaming the ref, or is it still too soon, says Xander? Depends. I know that some people were complaining about the ref about 5 minutes into this one. Still not a difference of 20 points. These are the good times. And we will work on that. Thanks for the feedback, says White Nyor. And the ref is right. Lions were taken forever. Porter couldn't give away at least 4 scrum penalties at the time. I took Lombard to do up his laces. Speaking of scrum penalties, it is going to be won by Lions here. Chris Smith now going to have the chance to kick this one towards the touchline. Case in point, says Yanko there. Now ready to put this ball towards the sideline here for Chris Smith. Although, that's a good kick in the end. It's very close to staying in the field of play. But just getting it over the sideline. There's a lot of strapping on. Who was that? I think that was Thomas Clarkson. He had strapping all up his back. Shown there when his shirt got ripped up, or at least pulled up from that scrum. On out here for the Lions with PJ Bota. They're going to have a big success here off the set piece. We've seen their scrum already look pretty handy. Although Joe McCarthy didn't come through the middle, I think they said yes, so they did try and get that one out of there as quickly as possible. Nico Stain now passes across to the right-hand side. Hasim Peed. Still to make his way out onto the field. I think that was actually the number 22 for the Lions. That's Reniard Yonka, I think, is who's got themselves the 22 jersey today. Congrats on the 80k subs, by the way. 100k by the end of the Rugby Championship, of course. Says Sebastian. That would be the 2027 Rugby Championship, right? Since we haven't got one for this season, sadly. Even though it was so entertaining watching it last year. Sam Prendergast kicks that one downfield after Leinster managed to get the clearance. We're up to 18 people in the quiz, just 2 more participants. We'll increase the prize pool to 50. Invite a friend and help us at 20. So here's White Nyor, and we want Geordie Barrett back at Leinster. Well, he's actually improved quite a bit, hasn't he? Geordie Barrett, in terms of, from the start of the season, people were a little bit sceptical, and then 3 games in, he just went from strength to strength for that side, and then by the end of the season, he was one of the absolute keys. But, yeah, Ioane hasn't quite had that same reception, but I also do want to mention, Ioane this game, he's been pretty handy. He says he wants to go back. I think he loved the Champions Cup URC combination, didn't he, Geordie Barrett? And to be fair, anytime he's in New Zealand, he just gets stick from everyone about his All Blacks position. So I think if Leinster offered him big money, maybe he would be a smart man to take it. Rieko Ioane passing on the outside to James Lowe. Will go with a big boot down the field off his left. Now, one might have a little bit too much on it, but Kewan Horn not taking any risks. Does claim the ball 5 metres out from his own line. And does clear it into touch. Over there, crazy watching players get there, then stop and look at the ref. Oh, if the am I okay look, says Jimbo. And wait, what? What have they done to the Rugby Championship? So because of the greatest rivalry tour, it means we don't get a Rugby Championship this year. Which is, a little bit disappointing. Of course, it's great that we're having the rivalry tour, but at the same time, like the Rugby Championship, I think, was picking up more traction than it's ever had. And now it's taken a year off. Dan Sheehan, ready to throw it in for the line out. 45 metres out from the opposition line here. Leinster McGrath goes across now. James Lowe to Prendergast, who does go with the big up and under bomb. Waiting for it to come down was Angelo Davids. Doesn't take it cleanly, so under all sorts of pressure now from Hugo Keenan and the rest of the Leinster pack. Now Nico Stain to the right-hand side. We're already 22 minutes through this game. Now told to use it. Now firing this one back into the pocket. Kewan Horn gets that one into touch. There's blasphemy, hearsay. Says hearsay. Which one is right? I think it's hearsay. No, it's not hearsay. It's definitely not hearsay. I know that, but it's one of them, isn't it? Yeah, Geordie has options. Great player. I think he can. He could help Prendergast, tackling, etc. Says Dazza. And I play for Leinster for big bucks. Definitely if it's like more of a chance of like, I don't know, Leinster embraced Geordie Barrett, didn't they? Whereas Geordie Barrett in New Zealand, like I mentioned, he just doesn't seem to get much love. Oh, that one's going to be not straight from Leinster. Means that Lions will have themselves the scrum. Are you in the competition? I am. I was sitting about 6th before. I think I've dropped a little bit further. How does your girl feel about long nights and early mornings? I have to ask you because, weekends are kind of broken with myself. I've been up since yesterday. I don't know what time yesterday. I think afternoon, maybe. And we have it there. Cool story, bro. Mad Max in leather pants. And last game, people said James Lowe played poorly. How's he playing today? He done all right. He's done some big moments in terms of that big left boot's something that you just like. If Leinster are kicking territory game well, normally Lowe is involved in that. Now Nico Stain on the way to the left-hand side to Angelo Davids, moving it on the outside to Hinko. Fun fake big wide cut out past to Kronya, who has passed his HIA and also passed through 2 of the Leinster defensive tackles. Now, Nico Stain again going off. Chris Smith trying to get rid of that one quickly was Notanahu. And how's everyone finding next play? Quick cross kick here from Chris Smith, left alone, and it's kicked out on the full again. Geordie has family here. With a local surname, so not a stranger. Says Jimbo. We have got there, if she ever joins for a commentary, you'd have to name the channel, or rename the channel so she's not a lad. But my mum's been in live streams before. So I think that kind of counts as, I guess she's one of the lads in a way. I'm a South African living in Auckland, up since yesterday as well, says Lawrence. Yeah, there's been plenty of epic games taking place in the URC. The Stormers and the Bulls. South African sides having some success earlier on. The Lions, they are 14-0 down at the moment after the 25 minutes, but still time to play. But Leinster again dominating this possession stat at the moment. Rieko Ioane passes him behind to Osborne. Now James Lowe, he drops that ball just as a bit of a fumble of it just as we started praising him. I think the PSG are not only winning the 3rd time, equaling the record with Real Madrid, but they will make a new record by winning it the 4th time also. Says Fahi Mansur. But it was just good passing in the end. Ioane put the short ball across to Osborne, and then Lowe just had that one sneak out of his hands Do British people ever sleep in leather pants in winter? I wouldn't think, like, leather wouldn't be that warm in terms of, like, a bed, would it? Like, you'd be better off just wearing pajamas, I would think, rather than getting leather in. Yeah, surely you can get something other than some leather pants. They'd probably restrict you a little bit in terms of movement. And you put the commentator's curse on James Lowe. How dare you, says Xander. Unless you go bring in an All Black every year moving forward. It'd be kind of a fun trend, wouldn't it? In terms of just finding one of the ABs out on the full. And it was actually taken back. So that is again Chris Smith. This is his third time kicking the ball out on the full. Either they've made the Aviva Stadium field smaller, or Chris Smith just not quite getting his distance right at the moment for his side. My apologies. I must have missed the ones with your mum. I was not trying to insinuate she's a lad of any sort, says Yanko. She is one of the lads, though, in a way, my mumsy. Now nicely taken there. Scott Penny going short side. Joe McCarthy just keeping the ball inside of the sideline, but also still only 22 metres out. Do you have leather pants? I don't think so. I can't fit into jeans very well. I think I've got to go somewhere to get like specialist jeans because my calves don't fit in normal jeans very well. Now, backline movement here. But then I've never like gone to get some because it seems like hard work. Now, Joe McCarthy. Now, big bump off there, spinning, trying to get through. That one's going to be dropped again by Hugo Keenan as the knock on. Yeah, we go there. Thanks for the information, guys. Says cool story. And only Freddie Mercury, cool story. I think they're doing a tap, 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 Leinster chant going around the stands at the moment. At the Aviva, we are already 27 minutes through. Yeah, just a knock on from Hugo Keenan after receiving that offload from Joe McCarthy. Position at the moment, 63% in favour of Leinster, 73% in the territory department. The Lions have hardly had the ball and they've hardly been down the other end of the field, which makes it very hard to win a game of rugby. But as long as they can stop Leinster from getting another try before the halftime break and maybe even sneak one of their own, I would say they're still in this game. It's not completely doom and gloom yet for this side. Is your girl one of the lads, says Sophia? Depends on how you look at it, I guess. Probably, well, don't know. Xander freaky baby, says Ruth. And Xander's told Ruth he's got good knees. What was that? What did that have to do with? Did I miss someone saying they do like a knee slide and leather pants or something? Was that the general consensus? That one's going to be now the free kick going the way of the Lions, sitting about 10 metres out for the line at the moment. One's gone against Thomas Clarkson. Not the worst result of the scrum for Leinster, as it does actually mean they'll more than likely have the line out here. It was the same issue with the trousers for the suit I wore for my sister's wedding. The bottom of my legs had to be altered because of my muscular calves. See, here's Geza. It's tough, isn't it? You know, you sit there and they just don't quite slide down nicely. Whereas the Lions Stadium, each of Smith's kicks have been 5 metres too long. It's at altitude, so yeah, maybe that could be... No, but you'd think he'd actually be kicking too short then, wouldn't you, if that was the case? But yeah, it does normally play at a little bit of altitude in Johannesburg. Line out goes in. Not the straightest thing ever, but Leinster get their back line going. Rico Ioane dropping it off to Osborne. That was close to the turnover and the breakdown for the Lions, but just getting taken out in the final moments. I have a question. You mostly cover or do the stream of the rugby. Which league you cover, says Afi. So pretty much we are Super Rugby, URC, the Sevens, International Rugby. Those are probably our main ones. We also do a bit of rugby league. We need one more person so we can push up the prize pool to 50. Who can invite someone else? Says White North. So anyone who does want to join the live prediction one that you're seeing down in that bottom corner, that Zan the man is leading. It is that pinned comment. Sam Prendergast with the kick behind. McCarthy chasing after it. He's got longer legs than anyone else who was chasing that ball, but Angelo Davids. That one is going to be the penalty against McCarthy as he has left his feet. One second, we'll go like this. And like that as well. So currently I am on 6,000 points, ladies and gents. I haven't got any points in quite some time. But McCarthy, he was steaming after that one, but Angelo Davids has done well. The turf looks quite dry. There wasn't a lot of slide there for Davids, but a good kick downfield from the Lions. Will have themselves the line out here, about 35 out from their own line. Lions doing sort of okay. Yeah, it's a weird middle ground, isn't it, for this Lions team? Because when you consider the fact that they've had like 30% of the ball and 30% of the territory, like they're not out of this game for those type of stats. You know, they're only down by 2 tries. Of course, it's not an ideal margin to be down by away from home, but like 70% possession for your other team, you'd probably think that they'd be sitting worse, if that makes sense. Now, Kewan Horn, again, putting this ball up high, waiting for it. Nice take from Hugo Keenan. And the Lions, there's Kelly Williams in there too. Another tackle round the halfway line. McGrath moves it on to the left-hand side. Sam Prendergast. That's going to be the big knock-on from Scott Penny. Vijabuata. On Nico Stain. Back across to Chris Smith. Richard Creel. Up to Kronya. Being told to use it. Now still inside of the own half. The better thing is a really nice, or the betting thing is a really nice addition. I'm betting mostly on Leinster. That way I'm happy even when I'm wrong, says Yanko. Now this one taking a long time to come down that ball, but it has gone on to the side of the Lions, or at least momentarily before Leinster took it back. But again, we're back in the scrum situation. And the ball's looking good. Of all the teams this weekend, rest looking scrappy, says Ben. So would you say that then puts them as favourites to win the comp? Or would you say that because they're away from home that they're still underdogs up against Glasgow? We haven't seen the Leinster goalie yet, says Jimbo. Only 7.5 minutes remaining in this first half of play. They've just said there about how the Lions, they do have that ability of being able to score a lot of points in quick succession. They actually started their season with a real hiss and a roar, this Lions team. They're just saying there about no wins in Europe for the Bulls and the Sharks, but the Lions have had a win in Europe. In fact, they may have had 2 throughout the season. Told to use it. Frankie Horn breaking off the back. Another big tackle made by Sam Prendergast. Needs to step up defensively in this contest. It is something that gets called out all the time in regards to Prendergast's game. I'm the Lions, says Yanko. Our ball's kicked high again by Nico Stain. Oh, big collision, but Eric Kronya taking it nicely. Now Nico Stain going across to the right-hand side. PJ Bota. I'm a pretty good gambler, but not a good gambler. Says, cool story. Now back line. Now Mahashi cutting inwards. Offloads up to Nico Stain. Oh my, he almost ended up getting pile driven down. Thomas Clarkson is saying he didn't mean to do it, but it seems like it is going to be a dangerous tackle advantage. Now in favour of the Lions. Mahashi couldn't quite go through, didn't take the ball with him. It sounds like it's just going to be penalty only at the moment, the way that it sits. Have you tasted Mrs. Balls? Those are those hard candies, right? We have there, did you say another big hit from Sam Prendergast? I did. Believe it or not, he actually made a solid tackle there. I don't think that's his first one of the day either. Okay, they've said there it's just clumsy, so it isn't going to be anything more than just the penalty. Oh. Yeah, no, Thomas Clarkson kind of got his hands in between the legs of Nico Stain and gave him a little bit of a flip move. See, I don't know if that is just clumsy from Thomas Clarkson. That looked like there was a bit of a lift involved. It is dangerous from Clarkson, and I think this one might actually get checked. Yep, they are going TMO. This could end up being a yellow card at least. It's a good thing because we're not gambling. We're trying to compete against it, says White Nyor. And yellow all day, says Jimbo, and good stuff. Sounds like he's been working on it, says Geza. Right. Unconventional tackle here from Thomas Clarkson. He does slightly lift him. And the thing is, at first glance now, you can see it there. He kind of gets underneath his crotch and gives him a bit of a pull upwards. That's more dangerous than I saw live, says the referee. This is sounding like yellow, at least. Right. It's going to be an off-field review. Like they've said, dangerous play too. It was always going to be Leinster by 4 converted tries, says Jennifer. Well, this could be a little bit of an equaling factor. Leinster now going to be only playing with the 14 men on the field for the next 10 minutes. That could help the Lions get back into this contest. But now they will find a review and a decision about whether or not that is bad enough to be upgraded to the red. Cannot lift through horizontal, automatic yellow card and review, says Ben. Now this one's going to be thrown in. PJ Borta going to the front, nicely taken by Darian Landsberg. Borta has joined back into the back of the maul. There's about probably, I'd say, 11 Lions players involved in this maul, but it has been dragged down and hasn't managed to make the meters that they were after. Nico Steyn now waiting patiently. Is it off to Landsberg? They were just trying to get that set back line a little bit, or at least a few forwards in the right position. Do you think red card? I'm thinking they'll go yellow because he didn't land too awfully, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go red as well. It's a very hard one to say, but now advantage and play for the Lions. Pick and go here, very close to the line, and he gets over there. And it looks like Frankie, oh no, it's Henko van Wyk who has crossed the line, and the Lions with the man advantage have made the most of it to get them back into the game. We have it there. Do your aunties ever watch this? Not that I know of. Not that they've told me anyway. Yeah, that was an awkward one there, the way that Nico Steyn got dragged down. He kind of had a man on top of him. But we're going to see the replay here. It was the tackle from Porter. Oh, yeah, no, that's kind of... He tried to turn the man into one of those, like, you know, the first quarter moons. That kind of shape. That was a really weird reference, but I think it made sense. We have there, good Lions. Says Ben. Now Chris Smith to line up the additional 2. One second, we'll go like this. And like that, that one has missed away to the side, so that will make the score now 14 points to 0. No, sorry, 14 points to 5 still. Porter also yellow card. Probably could have been. Just because there was a bit of... Again, he got... It's hard to describe without like having like some sort of diagram. But yeah, he pretty much had him around the neck and pulled to the side. Hamish said, you guys from uni, what are you all studying? Says Ed, well, I think the plan is going to be to actually get them on after the end of the stream, or like at the end of the stream. So we can do a bit of a Q&A with them if you like, just in the aftermath of this game. But now Nico Steyn going to be kicking this one downfield here for the Lions. I see taken again by Hugo Keenan. Now Sam Prendergast. Tackled by Sebastian Lombard. Alsatian, not sure yet, but hopefully okay to be able to play next week. A mix of engineering, maths, science, and law. Says White Newell there. Now James Lowe. About 30 metres out from the line. Penny. Instead, they haven't had a huge amount of actual ball in hand in the last, I'd say, 5 minutes or so. There's another advantage, though, in their favour. They may even consider taking the 3 if they don't manage to break through and score themselves the try here. McGrath going off to the left. Now, if Prendergast can't quite break that last tackle, it can go from McCarthy. He decides he wants to run at anyone, even if it's the referee. McGrath pops it up to Penny with a straightening run. Now another pick and go this time from Caelan Doris. 12 metres out from the try line, still playing under penalty advantage. There was a dirty shot from Mahashi. I don't think there was like ill intent in it, I want to say, but he definitely gave McGrath a stinger. It's just whether or not it was McCarthy. Breaks through 3 tackles, still running forward. Joe McCarthy. Now Clarkson, pick and go. Oh no, in fact, sorry, it's not Clarkson, it's Sheehan. They have got numbers on the left-hand side here, and Rieko Ioane's just spotted the space, but he decides to run right instead. Now, I think the reason he's done that is so that he can lure a couple more defenders. We see Frankie Horn's gone that way. Leinster here, if they're going to do what I think they're going to do, they're going to head left this time. Dan Sheehan, just short of the line. Now calling for it out wide. McGrath has seen him. McCarthy's seen him too. They go to the left and they score the try with James Ryan. That was manipulation of a defence at its finest from Leinster. And again, Rieko Ioane, by running out wide, that lured one more player from the Lions across. Then from there, they pick and go, went to that right-hand side. So then always the Lions were drifting inwards. And then in the end, it became about a 3-on-1 on that left-hand side for them to be able to finish it off. What website app do you use for the live scoring updates? Bottom middle. Says Anderson, that one is Flash Score for the live update. But James Ryan able to run that one up. Like you said, Rieko set that up through intelligent play, relying on IQ rather than physical ability. Says Nate. He gets a lot of stick, but he's still not so world-class, says Nate. But Rieko created that without the ball, says Jimbo. That one has gone over as well, and that is now halftime in this contest, and Leinster strike just before the halftime break. 21-5 now, the score in this contest. And 14 Leinster more dangerous, ouch, says Ben. Why they're playing dirt in all the games? Why are they playing dirt in all the... What do you mean playing dirt in all the games? And Big Joe playing Skittles, says Paul Walsh. Yeah, he was bumping off everyone, wasn't he? Joe McCarthy. And that try was created by Arge while in South Africa, says Ben. And well, we knew that would happen. Leinster could with playing with 10 men on us, or could win playing with 10, I think that is, from Galov. That is the end of the first half period of play, 21 points to 5 in favour of Leinster Lions. They do still have the man advantage. But it'll be very intriguing to see what happens throughout the second 40, whether or not Leinster can get the early back-to-back trial, whether the Lions can sneak one while they still have that man advantage. Is the ponytail secured? Oh, for Joe McCarthy, I assume that's because of the pull of the mullet that he had last week, right? Well, Gallup, depending on how their scrum holds up, we may find out, says Yanko. And we have got there, so lame to let them strike before the half with 14. And why all the players playing dangerous? Oh, as in like all the high shots and whatnot. 1 second, we'll go like this. I think I'm still on 6,000 points. And we'll go like that as well, because normally halftime they do have the extra one where you get to have a crack at getting a new score prediction. And they are just too strong. Well done, Lions, holding in. We need to close the fab before halftime, because the first quarter of the second half Leinster are so dangerous, says Jennifer. And Dobbo started packing. It's been interesting to see the media in New Zealand go from Rieko Ioane's Leinster fails in the finals. But when Geordie was there, he never got any blame for losses. See his Nate. New Zealand media's had something against Rieko Ioane for the past, I'd say, 3 years, though. Geordie Barrett, to be fair, they've probably had something against him for the last 2 or 3 as well. But, yeah, it depends on which media outlet it is, because some will just try and clickbait it so that they end up they just try and make money and do negative headlines most of the time. Please put the question link, says Mohaddin. So anyone who does want to join in on the next play application down there, as you can see, Xander is currently leading with Shajil in second and then Gatto in third. But the points do get bigger and bigger as the game progresses, so you do still have a chance, even if you were to join now, to still win yourself the biggest prize. And that will be, I think, now $50 worth of URC merch of your choosing from certain sites. And both thrived away from New Zealand media, says Jimbo. Yeah, I think that seems to be the case with a lot of guys, how when they're not put under the microscope by the Kiwi public and the Kiwi kind of media grouping, then that's normally when they find more success. I mean, close the fab. I mean, close the gap. Damn autocorrect, says Jennifer. I assumed it was just some like cool hip lingo that I didn't know. Would be amazing to see the Lions win, says TU there. They're just having a bit of a couple friendly games on the field by the looks of it while we are at the halftime break. Looking through at the benches though, ladies and gents. While we are out, there we go. For Leinster, it is Gus McCarthy, Yusinov, and Clarkson was going to be off the bench, but he is in the starting lineup instead, and he's now actually in the bin because of his lifting tackle on Nico Stain. Also there is Mangan and Josh van der Flair, James Gibson Park, Harry Byrne, and Robbie Henshaw as that number 23. For the Lions, they've got Maria in the front row alongside Davids and Skurman, Delport and Kwama as the number 20. JC Pretorius, Reniard Jonker made his way onto the field briefly due to the Eric Cronje HIA, but he managed to pass it. So Jonker made his way back off. And then Hasim P there as that number 23. We have got there. How does the leaderboard work? Is it each game adds points? Then the winner is determined after the final? No, so it's pretty much just a one game winner takes all situation. Because this is throughout their weekend of doing trials and everything like that, it's that they just want as many people in as possible. It's probably going to cost them a fair few $100s in terms of prizes and whatnot, but for the data that they collect from that, I believe that's the payoff of it. So, yeah, pretty much it's just for this Leinster Lions game. So second half around the corner, if you get it right, you get yourself some big old points and some big old prizes. And there as well, Leinster versus Glasgow final at Murrayfield. And thumbs we can do quickly, says Jennifer. And we officially hit 20 participants. So it's gone up to 60 now. And we have got there, we will be adding a league at some point across multiple streams and games if you want us back, says Omar. And 6 thumbs, Jen. I know that's cool, probably not going to win, but even just playing along is pretty fun, says Youngco. This is a great channel, living in America, couldn't find the game. This is the best thing. A great channel, says Jennifer. Thank you very much. And yeah, we are going to be here for the 2 semi-finals next week. We are going to get to see the Bulls play Glasgow in Scotland. And then also alongside that, the winner of this game will face the Stormers. So if Leinster win this game, it will be Leinster versus Stormers. But that game will be taking place at the Aviva, or actually just in Ireland. I think it's the Aviva still. And then if the Lions won, it would be in Cape Town. There, thank you for the show, Hamish, says Eric. Yes, we'll definitely tune in, Hamish, says Jennifer. When you having your question people with you, when you having your, as in like coming on the stream, I'm not sure how many, there's 4 of them in the lounge at the moment. It seemed like there was a debate as to whether it would be one or all 4 of them who come on. But what I'm going to do is after the match ends, I'm just going to knock the green screen over and see who walks in the door. We'll either get 1, we'll either get 4, get any random number. But that will be when you guys can ask a few questions, and they'll probably ask you a couple as well, just at the end to be able to kind of help out with the feedback of it. What's the deal with the Bulls versus Glasgow venue? I'm assuming it would be Scotstoun, but I understand you correctly. Either it will be in Scotland, but not at Scotstoun. Yeah, it's confirmed for Murrayfield, that one. But it's an interesting choice in that regard. Rico Ioane going on the outside with that pass to Hugo Keenan. That was a very well set up try. Hamish, have you hooked up now? What does hooked up mean? Is that like a dating terminology as in hooked up? Or is that like, don't know, maybe, if that's the question. Potentially. We have got there Murrayfield, Edinburgh, says Ben. And the biggest surprise to me is Chris Smith, best 10 in the URC, but missing tonight. And also we got there, well, that's the thing, Chris Smith as well, I will mention, he's kicked the ball out on the full 3 times, which is something that you just never normally see from him. He likes to find that almost fine line between kicking the ball dead and within 5 metres when he is going for the corner of a penalty. But just in general here, he hasn't been able to get his kicks right. It's been hurting them big time. Everyone's saying Leinster versus Glasgow final, don't ride off the Bulls. Murrayfield has grass. It's not a 4G pitch. Bulls like to attack. And I bet someone predicted the final would be at Murrayfield early in the competition at a ridiculous rate and probably didn't mean it like this. But may now actually win, says Yanko. Now going off to the right-hand side, they're just showing that build-up play of the Lions when they were able to move it on. See, again, it looked like an ugly one for Andrew Porter, the way that he tackled Nico Stain. But at the same time, I think it was actually something off the ball. McCarthy was going to be penalised in that situation. I bet someone predicted the final would be at Murrayfield. Oh, no, I read that one, didn't I? And Lions can't seem to grab the ball, says Ruth. Is it red card? It is still up for debate. They haven't given any sort of update in terms of that yellow of Thomas Clarkson. I don't think it's going to be anything too severe. I think they'll say that he didn't drop Stain in any sort of too dangerous position. There wasn't any sort of force as he put him down or anything like that. So I think Clarkson will get to make his way back out there some stage in the second half. Although that does not mean that they won't change him relatively early to avoid any sort of follow-up yellow. We have there, holy smoke, you might have hooked up. It gives me hope for my 50s, says Cool Story. We won't be physically here next week, but we're looking at running out from Auckland, says White Nyor. And also good morning, says Cut there. And should be read by the laws, says Jimbo. Well, yeah, although he didn't land that badly, Nico Stain. I think that the one factor that they normally go by is the dangerous landing position. Now, for Stain, he seemed to land on his shoulder rather than on the head or neck. There wasn't a lot of force downwards from Thomas Clarkson in that scenario. So, yeah, I only see it as a yellow, but we'll wait to see what the TMO does end up deciding in the end. We're just seeing another replay of Joe McCarthy's try. He was pretty much slapping all over the place through the defenders. And they just replayed the build-up to the Lions try. So I still cringe seeing how Nico Stain's head whiplashed out of that high tackle. Could easily have been another yellow in my opinion. Says Yanko. And still not 20 points difference, says Cool Story. And if you were the Lions coach, or what you telling the boys in the shed? Well, the thing is, with the exception of that last try being scored by Leinster, they were actually going not too badly, the Lions. But, yeah, I think that it's one of those scenarios where it's, you know, they have to now score first. Let's see if starting halftime can still get me close to winning, says Jason. But Lions have made their way out onto the field at the Aviva. So did Andre Hugo Fenta really ground the ball? I haven't actually been able to see the extent of the grounding yet. I haven't watched a slow motion replay, but I do definitely want to see one. Because I always thought that when he reached out, he touched it first and then the slow motion showed him pulling it back. So I feel like he got a little bit, the replay didn't help him out, if that makes sense. Oh, where will the kickoff land? Is the question that has now just come through. Okay, yellow is going to stay at yellow is the call from the referee and the TMO. And Rico's mullet, though, says Jimbo. Yeah, him and McCarthy, although I do think that McCarthy's is probably that little bit better. It's just going to be the yellow card. 1 second, we'll go like this. And we'll go like that as well. Now go on left-hand side, Leinster getting the ball early on from the kickoff. No, I said that the Lions needed a good start to the second half. That was not it. Now McGrath going off to Sam Prendergast. He's tried a little no-look pass and there was no one on his outside. Chris Smith kicking that one in behind. Picked up by Hugo Keenan. A little bit of a counter ruck there. Now McCarthy. We have got there Nutella and caramel popcorn, messy but yummy. Says Ruth. Oh, big knock on there from O'Brien. It looks like he may have actually done his knee. Second will go like this. I am still on 6,000 points. Unless I got that one right. Now Nico Stain. Back to Chris Smith. Oh, good lord, their 12 is pale. Hopefully the crowd don't do that thing with the torches on their phones. I may get a sunburn, sees Youngko. Now that one's kicked very high from Hugo Keenan, waiting for the bounce of the ball. McCarthy goes up for it, and he was always going to be able to win that one. He had the height advantage over Nico Stain, who was also trying to jump up for that ball. McGrath moves it on to McCarthy. Now Doris thought about the offload. Pijiabota. Now again, the delayed pass almost there for Prendergast. Hugo Keenan. Now the fan puts the ball on the outside to James Lowe. Chris Smith trying to bundle him into touch. Somehow Lowe was able to keep that ball in. Seems like O'Brien has fully recovered from that knee injury that it looked like he had only moments ago with a bit of a stinger. Now McGrath. Going to be kicking this one high for Sam Prendergast. Rico Ioane running into the referee and hasn't managed to line up that ball. Another knock on from the Lions. Osborne passes it on the outside to Dan Sheehan. Great tackle, I should say, from Cronje around the bootlaces. Second half has started at a frantic pace, which I feel like both of these sides, I don't know if they can keep it up for the full 80 minutes. But Prendergast, another wide cut-out pass to Dan Sheehan. Chris Smith makes a great tackle. Lions looking for a way of getting that steal, but they just haven't quite been given the chance. James Ryan goes off to Caelan Doris. He has got the man in support. And Hugo Keenan trying to go himself, but dragged down by Kewan Horn. Now across here, Leinster have so many numbers. One more pass out wide. Penny scores in the corner. And Leinster have started the second half just like they ended the first with a try of their own. 26 points to 5 now. That was a bit of a chaotic start to the second half. 3 minutes of all-out action for these two sides. But Rico Ioane, he gets himself another try assist here. And he slams that ball down. Second, we'll go like this. And like that as well. But the kick here for Sam Prendergast right next to the sideline. And that's it, folks. Leinster versus Stormers as predicted, says Ben. Oh, Prendergast has actually missed that one away to the left-hand side. It didn't quite strike it the way that he would have liked. Normally in that scenario, you miss it on the near side. Rico gunning for man of the match, says Jimbo. Yeah, he's had a very solid game here so far, Rico Ioane. 26 points to 5. Kewan Horn. Passing the ball a few times, so it will be Leinster versus the Stormers, says Mohideen. Yep. And it would be at the Aviva. And that game would be taking place. 20 points, saying sandwich was fun. See you guys. Yeah, it's a cool story. Yeah, currently down by 21 at this point in time here for Leinster. Where's Leinster from? Well, this game's at the Aviva in Dublin. It's going to be the line out here for the Lions, and it looks like a change is already being made. Although it does look like it's being made because of a bit of a limp in the scenario. Lombard makes his way off. Schoolman makes his way on. And crowd is swelled after the soccer, says Jimbo. Yeah, there are quite a few more people in that middle section now, aren't there? And Pijiabota. Line out now. Taken at the front by Mahashi. Stain. Cross to Chris Smith. Now Stain. Nice piercing run. Couldn't quite get through. And ball's there again for Frankie Horn to be able to play halfback. Stain. Looks like another injury here for the Lions. Interception by Sam Prendergast. He will run all the way, all willy. He's got Kewan Horn right on his heels, but he scores the interception try. Leinster now are back to the scoreline roughly as they had the last time these two sides played only 3 weeks ago. Our Lions are going to score the next 13 tries. That's from now after this try, right? Excuse me, I said hey. I think I said hey. Oh, did I say hi for you? Oh, my apologies. Leinster from Leinster. Says Jimbo there. At the timing of that message couldn't have been any worse, says Cut. And yeah, Lions are done, says Yunker. Yeah, this one's getting a little bit ugly for them. They tried the backline movement, but Chris Smith, it gets smashed in the tackle, and Sam Prendergast grabs that ball. They were calling for a knock on there. Oh, it looks like it hits the back of Deegan's body, like maybe about a shoulder blade or something. If Prendergast scores against you, then you bad, says Ben. Well, Prendergast, to be fair, he's more of an attacker than a defender, so he should be scoring tries. But, yeah, he gets a lot of stick for his defence, but he actually is a good attacker. That one has gone over, and that is going to make the score now 33 points to 5 in favour of Leinster. The Lions saying they are struggling with massive jet lag, so we can expect them to play their best today, says Ander. Also, we can't expect them to play their very best today. Interesting. How late did they leave the travel to Ireland? If they... Oh, that man was fired up in the stands. He was having a bit of fun, yelling at the players. There is also still the man down who did go to the turf initially. It looks like it's PJ Borta with a bit of a nose cut that they're dealing with. Lions have been in Dublin for a few weeks now. What jet lag lol? Says washer dryer. That nose does look a little bit more crooked than at the start of the game, so Maria will make his way on. While PJ Borta gets that one dealt with. As when as the Storm is leaving for Ireland, says Mohadeen. I would say they're probably booking their flights about now. Try about Prendergast Amish. He's had a good pack tonight, says Eric. Nor I guess they just mean they're a bit tired from travelling, says Yanko. Now this one's going to be rolled back and put downfield from Luke McGrath. Had some good distance on his kicks today, McGrath, which has helped his side out of some tricky situation, although he's not happy with that kick. Feels like the touch judge has been a little bit strict on him. He's just gone over to the sideline and said, how is that there? So, not happy with it. Zan, the man, currently sitting top of the bunch, I do see in terms of the leaderboard too. Going to get himself that top prize. And how your Jimbo says, Mohadeen. Maria. For the line out here. 32 minutes remaining, which is almost the amount of points separating these two sides. Chris Smith goes off to Klakane. He tried to bump off Doris. I tried to rip that ball out of their hands, Doris, but couldn't get it away. Okay, Andrew Porter was in that breakdown, and I think they were trying to ask for a penalty against him. And it kicked out on the full this time by Kewan Horn. Horn and Smith have gone for multiple kicks in behind, and none of them have landed in the field of play. Which is really strange, because that's now the 4th time that has been kicked out on the full. And we have there, what's the crack about Deegan? He's a regular Leinster. And Vezel's the expert on that, should ask him, says Ben. Just found out the way... I found out that the way the Hurricanes are dominating the competition has come back to 2016. Now it's slapped back. Nico Stain, rough pass there. Klakane does manage to knock it backwards rather than forwards. So Richard Creel tries to break through. Osborne does so, but then Ioane manages to take him down round halfway. Stain, way to the left. Now moving it on. Oh, that looked a little bit too quick there for Joe McCarthy getting up out of the line. Stain, back to Kewan Horn. This one can't go out on the full, surely. Gets it in the middle of the field this time. Now knocked back by Leinster. Prendergast shovels it on to Hugo Keenan. Moves it left for Osborne, who goes off his left boot. Kick it down to the Lions 22. Chris Smith passes across to Kewan Horn. Goes straight down the middle of the field once more. Sam Prendergast has the opportunity to kick this one towards the sideline. That is a massive torpedo punt and a beautiful one at that. He's asking Holly Davison to keep on walking further. Give him a whole heap of meterage there, but that hurts the Lions. Kicking the ball down the middle of the field, hoping that Leinster will just put it into touch so that they have the attacking line out. But then Prendergast gives it the almighty torpedo and gets it about 35 metres out from the Lions' try line instead. Old backline is offsides. Time to cut refs pay. I did feel like McCarthy was up very quick for that last play, taken by Ioane, not back into the hands of Porter. Cronje making yet again another tackle as he normally does. I think it will be Leinster Bulls final next week. Sasha versus Prendergast, who will come out on tops. Be a good one, won't it? Unless Sasha's injured, of course. And Holly being very generous. Says Jimbo McGrath. On the way to the right-hand side yet again. Tackle was made. Little flick pass up to Dan Sheehan. Klakane locked on the ball. Didn't get it though. Yo Keenan. Ball out to James Lowe now flying down the wing. Passes to Osborne on the inside, but he's caught by Angelo Davids. Gets the pass up though. Doris. The Lions scrambling in their defence. Now, McGrath, there are numbers on the right. They just need to find the pass. That was terrible, though, from Prendergast. Throwing a big lobby one. Luckily for him, the Lions have knocked the ball on. A bit of push and shove there. Still competitive. Cullen would want more points, says Eric. And also, I think it will be Leinster Bulls in the final, says Irish Mix. So that would continue the trend that we've had. Which is every single final has involved a South African side. Now Osborne. One second, we'll go like this. And we'll go like that too. Currently I am sitting in 4th in the quiz, so I do see. And Prendergast says Irish. Do you see the Stormers winning next week? It'll be tough. If Leinster play like they have up against the Lions here, I'd say that Leinster would take that one. The Stormers, though, they had a pretty solid game up against Cardiff. Definitely later in the contest when it was that really important stage. And Mixie Coven took Westmeath to extra time, mark my word, says Jimbo. But Kwama, he has made his way onto the field for Landsberg. I think we'll go like that. And like that as well. Moa C Storm is winning if there's a storm in Dublin, heavy rain. You know, I guess weather could be a little bit of a factor for that matchup. Interestingly enough here, they've actually taken Dan Sheehan off the field and Gus McCarthy is out there now. I don't believe that was anything to do with an injury. They've just decided Sheehan, seeing as he started that Champions Cup final, as well as starting this game, that now that he's done his job in this quarter final, they'll get him ready for next week. And still the 27 minutes. A few other players may start to make their way off of the field. The likes of a Ioane or an Osborne. Maybe a Doris too. Lions will not win, says William Moses. And now another advantage here to Leinster. Nice step on the inside from Jimmy O'Brien. Mahashi was able to meet him with a tackle. Osborne now not quite getting it away left, but they do now have quite a few players in position. I don't know why Prendergast keeps trying that pass. He's gone for the big lobby thing that just gets read like a book every single time. Takes far too long to get to the winger. That is now going to be going back for the penalty advantage anyway, though. We have got their Lions will hit 8 tries in the last 8 minutes and will be good for the URC. Craig says Jimbo. Let's go to embarrass the Lions. Says, what's up, guys, live? And will the South African teams have to travel to Scotland and Ireland respectively? Yes. Oh. Okay, Kewan Horns actually received a yellow card there for trying to grab that one. So it's been ruled as a deliberate knockdown. Kind of looked like he was having a decent enough crack at grabbing that ball, but it means now that the Lions are going to be down a man for the next 10 minutes, and this starts to get a little bit more ugly in the score department. Definitely if Leinster can score a try off this rolling maul now. But a couple more changes. Hasim Pede makes his way onto the field for Nico Steyn. Oh, yeah, we've got there Leinster going to embarrass the Lions. Maybe. But the thing is, Leinster always come out firing after losing a Champions Cup game. A brutal decision, says Jimbo. I think it was always going to be Leinster by a landslide, unfortunately, says Jennifer. Do you think Cullen will move on or stay with Leinster next season? I actually don't know what way they'll go. Nice take there from McCarthy at the line out. That one spun straight away, breaking off the back. Gus McCarthy scores. And it's another one for Leinster. I must say the Bulls and the Stormers will win. If they both win, where will the final be? Cape Town is where that one would be taking place. And that will now make the score 38 points to 5 after another try has been scored here. McCarthy just doing nicely in terms of waiting for that one to fully roll around on a sideways angle to then just break away off the back. Okay, the commentator there has just said that he assumes that the Lions didn't spend all their time over the last few weeks in a bar, but they'll probably spend their time afterwards in the bar to drown their sorrows. So he's being nice and friendly, isn't he? Did you dye your hair angelic? No, not that I know of. Why? Oh, I know what it will be. It will be because of a little bit of sunlight, or at least a little bit of light coming through the windows. It makes it look like it's a different color. It kind of looks slightly more brown now compared to what it looked earlier on. But that kick has gone over, 40 points to 5. The way that it sits now. And also, Leinster were always going to come out with a vengeance, says Sean O'Farrell. Yeah, I mentioned about it. They lost that Northampton Saints semi-final. They bet the next game, or the next team that they played, by over 60 points. They will be trying to do the same thing here. How much longer is the game? Still another 25 minutes remaining of this contest. I'm bold, so you hear is nice, says Irish Mick. It's just that the Lions have been in Dublin for a few weeks now. Says wash the dryer. Yep, kick downfield from Sam Prendergast. At least the Lions beat the Bulls record. Bad loss to the last year URC final against Leinster. Congrats. And also 2 rugby clubs and Kevin Mick. Prendergast still doesn't look 100% happy at the moment. Seems like he might be nursing just a little bit of either fatigue or injury. Now, I'd like to think if it was any sort of injury, they might actually consider taking him off soon, seeing as the lead is now extended to 35. Over there, Kevin Clubs Champions League, says Irish Mick. Now, nice take there from Frankie Horn. Way to the right-hand side, Chris Smith goes to Klakane. Looking to kick this one in behind. Awkward bouncy ball mistake made at the back. Hugo Keenan tried to grubber it forward, but it sits up now and it's a try. Oh, is it? Henko van Wyk. He may have scored it. Looks like he's hurt his ankle in the process, but also may have potentially knocked this ball on, trying to ground it. He's currently a hopping Henko van Wyk. We see it here. He was chasing after the ball and Hugo Keenan just completely misread it. He was hoping for it to bounce up for him, or he was just expecting... Yeah, no, he just didn't quite control that one. Hugo Keenan rolled underneath him. We're going to see the replay now. Okay, the crowd are going to boo here because they showed it in fast motion, which made it look like he knocked it on, but I think he might have grounded it, then the ball came free. Yeah, they checked already. The TMO is checked and it's all clear. So it is going to make the score now 40 points to 10. Good score, F the ankle. So Glasgow versus Bulls and Stormers versus Leinster as it stands. Correct, yes. And Glasgow would be at home, and the Leinster side would be at home as well. And it is, yeah, they've already cleared it, says Yanko. We're going to see a slow motion replay now, which I think they should have shown the crowd first. We're going to see it now. So he slams down. Yeah, completely fine grounding there. And the fight back starts, says Ty Smith. And well, finally a try for the Lions, says Xander. Yeah, moves them up to 30 points behind. Big run from Kwama. Even told to get out of there. That's Scott Penny. Answering this question, who will the Hurricanes verse in the quarterfinal? They are playing the Brumbies on Friday night. Hassim Peed. Going for the box kick again. That was a bit of an awkward one. Richard Creel and one of his teammates, I think it was Angelo Davids, actually both almost tripped each other over. James Lowe with the ball in hand inside of his own half here for Leinster. Trying to turn it into the rolling maul there for half a second. And Prendergast slammed down. Del Porter's on the field for Klakane as well. And Smith missed again. How did he pass his HIA, says Jimbo. Now moving it on to Rico Ioane. One more ball, Osborne. Quick hands from Prendergast. Ow, that would have been a hard shot on the spine for Hugo Keenan. That was Mahashi again. He's getting in some good shots on the verge of late on Leinster throughout this contest. That's about his third one that we've noticed. Osborne passing away now, looping it round. Big pass to James Lowe. Just a little bit delayed out to Josh van der Flair, but gets it there in the end. Thought about trying to get the steal there for Kwama, and has actually ended up on the side of the Lions, who also have got themselves that penalty advantage. One second, we'll go like this. We go like that. We have got there. The game is a bit bad, but I've worked myself into third. So that's a silver lining, says Yanko. How's the weather looking out there? At the Aviva, it's still relatively nice by the looks of it. It's a whole heap of something on the field. It looks like feathers or something. Might be plastic maybe, or maybe they did some confetti at halftime or something like that. Okay, Gus McCarthy just having a bit of a conversation there with the referee. Didn't want to get himself penalised in the scrum again. We have got there 2 tries for the Lions. Then whistle, blow, whistle, baby. Says Irish. And change the score other way around. All right, this seems like an injury this time for Nunachu. I'm just thinking through. SJ Kutsia early on had an injury. PJ Bottas had his busted nose. Sebastian Lombard went off with an injury. Nabnangyo's just been checked out. There's been a lot of forwards for the Lions have been struggling throughout this contest. You see there Conan watching on alongside a couple of his Leinster teammates. Coach is also watching on. You can see here that the frustration in the Lions box is probably set in now. How this one does currently sit. Still the 19 minutes left though, and 2 minutes 20 remaining of the Lions yellow card. Both front rows standing up. We get another reset. Can you read my Zimbabwe question? It's about 2 tries, 1. Says Irish. Right, 1 second. Answer my question. Would Zimbabwe top their Champions League group on Xmas Day? Or will Zimbabwe top their Champions League group? Champions League group. Like I know Zimbabwe are in the, what is it, the Champions or the Challenge Series or something this year. What, haven't they qualified for that? How do you think are going to play in the semi-finals for Super Rugby Pacific? I think it's going to be all New Zealand sides, which doesn't really bode well for the Australians, unfortunately. RCP forward pass by a mile there. We've seen more times than ever throughout this weekend where the halfbacks have just been throwing that pass a little bit too late. Big scores are put on by all the home teams, says Dowie. Yeah, the 4 favourites have really come to play, haven't they? Glasgow, they were pushed at times up against Connacht, but by the end of the match seemed feel quite in control. Yeah, that's not an ideal pass from Hassim Pede there. They just showed it from the other angle. Second would go like this. I like that. And thanks for the love, over says Irish Mick. It looks like McGrath is going to make his way off of the field now. And same with Hugo Keenan. So both men taken off for Byrne and Jameson Gibson Park. 7 minutes to go. And Newcastle need to try to beat Sale. And away the lads. And Lions are crushed by Irish whiskey. So here's Ruth. Gibson Park. This one's moving all over the place. That scrum before the ball had even gone in. McGrath last game in the Aviva possibly. Says Paul Walsh now passed across one more. Out to O'Brien. Gibson Park. Moving it on to Byrne. Out to McCarthy. He finds that offload. Goes to Mangan. Oh, has McCarthy hurt himself here or is it cramp? He can't get back to his feet though. Ioane. Another great pass out wide. He has been laser precise with the way that he's been passing the ball today, Ioane. Another advantage. Looks like Deegan's now down. Got to be very careful here, Leinster, not to pick up a couple more injuries before the end of this half. Sam Prendergast, he goes out wide. Now chance here to finish it off for O'Brien. Gets the thumbs up. And does score the try. I respect these Lions a lot. Others like playing Ireland, says Robin. Great game by him. Paul still has it, says Jimbo. And Dubs beat Loathe by 10 again. It will be tight, says Irish Mick. But it's another try here for Leinster. And it's just the repeated phases. And they only get a few metres out from the line, and then Gibson Park just shovels it on. And just a good pass from Prendergast for them to run it in the corner. I respect these Lions a lot. Others like playing Ireland, says Robin. And bowls out the bald head, says Irish Mick, now lining up this kick. Prendergast by the sideline. And has got it straight down the middle again. 47-10. The scoreline now. It's a good finish from Jimmy O'Brien, though. If your name's O'Brien for Leinster at the moment, you've got a pretty good chance of scoring. We saw Tommy score in that game up against Bordeaux. You're doing the semis next week. We certainly are. And Dubs all hurling fans now, says Jimbo. Now kicked off long. Jameson Gibson Park. Gets it into touch again. Chris Smith. No quick throw this time. 15 minutes now remaining on the clock. Oh, it's just frozen. Hopefully it comes back in the near future. 7 tries compared to the 2 tries. So a 9-try match thus far between the teams next week. We will be the first Stormers, or first time Stormers play an A-team Leinster. Unbelievable, says Ben. Yeah, that one that took place earlier on in the year wasn't quite the same for the teams. Oh, that's going to be a knock-on first from the Lions, then from Leinster. So the scrum feed for the Leinster boys. And Hurlers deserve the chance after beating Limerick last year. Cork game was a blowout, then Cork got blown out. And Morning says Highlanders fan, welcome in. And also Stormers kicking themselves now by Droz, says Dowie. Can we get 50 points for my bet to win? I think Leinster would be disappointed not to get to the 50 points. Oh, for the Lions to get 50 points, sorry. Replacement, Henshaw makes his way on. That's actually for McCarthy. Yeah, Henshaw's packing down in the scrum here, ladies and gentlemen. I mentioned about how McCarthy couldn't get back up to his feet. And I think that was either cramp or some sort of injury. But Henshaw's actually a forward for this game. Gibson Park going short side, goes for the grubber in behind. It's a strategic kick from the experienced 9 and forces Chris Smith to catch that ball, and then he gets pushed into touch. So Leinster will have the line out, 10 out. Gibson Park. You see the way that ball was awkwardly bouncing. Chris Smith, he just didn't have any other option. Could have either left it and hoped that it was going to bounce outwards rather than in, or he had to just commit to catching it. Set the line out. Now rolling maul again here for Leinster. Gus McCarthy, he's already scored himself 1. That was when the last rolling maul kind of skew-whiffed a little bit. Now Jamie Osborne passes it back across. Now wide cut out pass for O'Brien. Out to James Lowe, who finishes it off and brings up the half century for Leinster now. It is going from bad to worse. Not for Leinster, they're going from better to best. In this case, 52-10. The scoreline now. Intelligent play, says Eric. They've just said about breaking the record. I'm on 22,800 points at the moment. And 70th try for Lowe, says Jimbo, so he has broken the record himself. I should clarify. And both semis next week on Saturday, not necessarily. So the one that we popped up earlier on, it did say that was going to be the case, but pretty much the gist of it is once they have the two sides confirmed, then they get to choose when they want to play their semis normally. So you'll probably see one on Saturday morning New Zealand time, so Friday night, and then maybe one on Saturday night as well. Or they might try and go early, but I think more than likely Leinster wouldn't mind playing the Stormers at this time. And then I'd say Glasgow would want to play the Bulls, quick turnaround, play them on the Friday night. It's a terrible game for the Lions. They tore so much and have jet lag. Says Xander. Do you think 60? Yeah. I don't think Leinster are slowing down anytime soon. Who decides? Normally the home field advantage team get to pick their game. Well, that's what it is in some competitions. URC, I think, is the name that's getting called as a maul. Leinster couldn't get rid of it. So it does mean now that the Lions have got themselves the scrum. I got to start getting a few questions right. I am drifting behind by quite a margin. The last 10 minutes, normally the questions are worth a lot more. Do you think Monaghan beat Mayonnaise Jimbo or Mayonnaise tomorrow, Jimbo? This is a terrible game for the Lions. Yeah. And again, it goes back to what happened last year. I mentioned about it right at the start. And I know that they were playing up against Zebra, so it's a little bit different. But Leinster, last year, they lost their Champions Cup game up against Northampton. They went on to their next game. They won 76 points to 5. Now, this scoreline's getting a little bit close towards that, but all I'm going to say is they then went on and won the whole URC after that. So, Leinster probably can't be underestimated in this competition, but they will have a tough Stormers side in front of them next week. That one's going to be another one going down on the turf. Oh, a bit of a slip there. I seen Ben trying to get that penalty, but the referee said that he was pushing the ball into the man. Is game over yet? Not quite. Still enough time for, theoretically, the Lions to get themselves one more try. Now away to the right. I'm moving it on. Nice hands. Horn. There's one more to Angelo Davids. Skips through a couple challenges, but now they go back for the penalty. I think Scott Penny might have got his head stood on there. Should we take a moment of silence for the Lions? Says Xander. The Bulls will love it. To play in legendary Murrayfield. Good for running. If it does not rain. Sounds like the Lions are again going to kick this one towards the corner. With 8 minutes left. How much longer? 8 minutes. So they could technically still get another try. Your prediction for the Super Rugby semis and Super Rugby Pacific, I think it's going to be Hurricanes versus Blues, Crusaders versus Chiefs. And that game would be taking place at FMG Stadium. Have you been awake all night, Amish? Yes. Last time I slept was yesterday midday-ish. A little bit later than midday, I think, anyway. Now, chance here for the Lions to try and finish on a little bit of a high. Being told to get out of there. 18's told to move again. Slimani, he won't get too many more warnings, and the referee does now decide to put the arm up, and now this might be Leinster's close to last warning. And out for penny number 8, stud marks in the scalp. Says Jimbo. Smith again just booting that ball into touch. Looks like Deegan's feeling a little bit of the fatigue from this game as well. We've currently got 7 minutes remaining in this contest. That again, Landsberg, top tackler they've just mentioned with 15 in total. Great game from Leinster, says Shirley. Yeah, firing back with a vengeance. And they've just stolen the line out. Although the Lions steal it straight back. 5 metres out from the line. The Lions told to get their hands off it. I was wondering why the referee was telling them when they had it. But no, Leinster were able to take it straight back. Thank you for your service to the stream. We bow to you, Sir Hamish, King of Coffee Tribe, says Irish. Gibson Park. Again, it manages to kick that one out. And it seems like this result, everyone knows which way this game's going for now. The Lions would need technically about 7 tries in 7 minutes to be able to get themselves the win here. So it looks like it's going to be Glasgow versus Bulls, as well as the Leinster versus Stormers. But that doesn't mean the Lions can't score one more. James gives a bark, kicks it into Munster, says Jimbo. And the Lions just started coming back to South Africa. Kicked him behind. O'Brien doesn't quite find the touchline with it. Kewan Horn, he will go up and under. That didn't look like he quite got it the way that he wanted to in terms of the connection of the ball. He's going to be sitting up now on the side of Mangan. Gibson Park off to the left once more. Rico Ioane. Hasn't scored a try yet today. He's had quite a few try assists. Can the Lions still win? Not really. They've just given away another penalty. Jameson Gibson Park. He was calling for the ball. James Lowe wanted to take it quickly, though. And he was trying to take it from about 5 metres in front. It's off to Harry Byrne to just boot this one over the sideline. Again, Leinster can go as slow and methodical as they like here. Just seeing there at the moment, the points are very close too. The final, it's very close. In fact, any one of those 3 who are sitting up the top can still win it. In fact, probably anyone who's 4th or 5th can also still win the URC merch. Joe McCarthy, man of the match. Yeah, he's got to be up there for what he's been able to do out there, McCarthy. I think it's between him, Ioane, and I'd probably put Penny's name in the hat as well, to be fair, with the game that he's had. Ioane, again, a good hard carry towards the opposition defensive line, and JC Pretorius manages to get that penalty. Over there, great ball, total beast. And Leinster will hammer Stormers second half, dismantling jobs. And the Bulls win tight game here tomorrow, my prediction, says Irish. Chris Smith kicks it out. Can they get one more, the Lions? Yes or no, ladies and gents? They've got 4 minutes remaining. Is it going to be an option? Yeah, I thought Paul said Joe McCarthy, mum, and Jimbo called it a beast. And the boys in blue are kicking backside. Yeah, Joe McCarthy does get the man of the match award. It's a tap on the back from Caelan Norris, who was behind him as well. The captain knowing the effort that McCarthy has put in today. That one's going out wide, though, for the Lions. Nice draw and pass from Kewan Horn. Gives it out to Richard Creel. Open space. Goes for the chip on the inside. This one sits. Oh, they've dropped it again, the Lions. Although, Did that go back off Leinster as the comment from the ref? They're going TMO. There might be a little bit of belief that there could have been a try scored here for the Lions. You can see the Bulls winning the URC. Man, the match good to remember, says Irish Mick. Okay, sounds like they're saying there is a clear knock-on in the air. There was definitely a Josh van der Flair hand close. Yeah, unfortunately for Eric Cronje, he did knock that ball on in the end. There's Jumbo and a 20-minute skip pass from scrum half position. And also the Lions about to spring into action, says Mark. 3.5 minutes. They're going to score hopefully one more. It would be nice to see them get a little bit more than they've got. Currently 44 points difference between these two sides. And 75 minutes and finally a backline move by the Lions almost scored, says Ben. Now 3 minutes on the clock. Leinster have got the scrum feed. Anyone just tuning in now, the finals are now pretty much confirmed. It is going to be Glasgow and the Bulls. And then also it is going to be Stormers in their contest up against Leinster. That game will be taking place in Ireland. Glasgow versus Bulls will be taking place in Scotland, and the penalty is won again here by Leinster. Time Slimani managing to get it. Rugby needs to do away with 4 pass. Backward pass should be illegal. That'd be a fun game. Wait, so you're saying backwards pass should be illegal and they're only allowed to do forward passes? That would be a tricky one to call. And the night's still young, says Xander. I've got there, what will the final score be? You got 48 seconds to be able to get that one right. And it's worth 5,000 points, so that could be the difference. Is it going to be the score, or are Leinster going to get themselves another one, ladies and gentlemen? It looks like the back line was on, but Prendergast has put it down. So the Lions now get that last attack, perhaps with 2 minutes remaining. Picked up by Angelo Davis, springs back up to his feet. Finals are confirmed, Zebra versus Connacht and Precious versus Man United. Says Irish now, cross kick here from the Lions. It doesn't sit up again. Oh, they've decided to take that one quickly, Leinster, but touched by the ball carrier, so they are not allowed to take this one quickly. We have seen 4 games of the URC where the favourites have shown just why they were favourites. But currently, around 80 seconds remaining now. Get close to that full-time siren. Leinster will be, I believe, at the same stadium next week for their game up against the Stormers. The Stormers will have to get those flights booked and head up as quickly as possible. Now, claimed by Leinster in the line-out. Gus McCarthy hanging on to this ball at the back. Leinster could just go for a few phases here to look to close out this game, but it seems like they're going to go a bit more aggressive and still look for a way of scoring the try right at the end of this one. Robbie Henshaw. No Lions could win, I know and I believe, says Oswald. And real URC starts next week, says Ben. Gibson Park going for a bit of territory here right near the end of the game. And again, he's done a very solid kick there. We have got there. I'm going to listen to some jazz. 50. Oh, it's a 50-22 for Leinster. I don't even know if Gibson Park knew that was going to be a 50-22. It didn't seem like they were that far down the field, but 50-22. It's the ball back to Leinster here. Now, the tricky part now for Leinster is they're inside of the opposition 22. So, do you go for the attack, risking injury, to score one more? Or do you just call it a day and kick it into touch? It looks like they're going to go for that one last attack. Nice quick hands. Gibson Park. One more pass on the outside. James Lowe. Can he get 71? Yes, he can. Finishes it off in style. And that's another one at the end of the contest. A pathetic game by the Lions. Proved me wrong, says Eric. And a 90-15. That'd be better, says Irish. James Lowe, 2 tries tonight. This has been a statement. For the winner, JVDW, make sure to sign in so we can contact you for the prize. Says Sunson. So yeah, we will mention, or I will mention that anyone else who has done the next play side of things, you don't have to actually put in your email. It's just for the one who is winning so that they can get your address and then send you out your merchandise for the URC. It answers your question, Amy, says Jimbo. It does. And I got a little bit worried when James Lowe had a couple men landing on him. Is he going to stay in first? I know they've still got a couple that are pending in terms of what the final score will be. Oh no, never mind. I got it wrong. I thought that I predicted 54-10 from the start of the game, but I did not. Oh, tell you what, Xander almost snuck him at the end, looking at that. Are there any still more ones that are pending? Can Xander sneak this in the final half a second? Leinster will win the UFC and the France Cup. And also we have there only 49 points differential. Well done, Lions. Says Bannon, who had tried scoring record before Lowe, O'Driscoll, or Hickey. I'm not actually sure who had it, but now Lowe has it by an extra 2, I believe. Right, it seems like it's still sitting with JVDW as the last questions come through and Xander's taken over. Have you the winner, JVW? But now the score has changed. Many thanks for the great commentary, says John. And BOD Shorley. Yeah, the win 59 points to 10. I was about to ask if I could pass it on to Xander, but he won fair and square anyway. Says Youngko. Okay, well that probably works well then, because I was about to say maybe you should both get the prize. But yeah, Xander, you have won. So yeah, be sure to let them know your email and they'll be able to send you out the information for it. But Leinster advancing through to the next stage of the competition, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen the win here at the Aviva. They will face the Stormers next week. And then also Glasgow versus Bulls, with the other game that is also taking place. Now, I believe the fellas in my lounge may want to come in and just ask for a little bit of feedback on their application. That's the one down in the bottom corner. So this is where the stream would normally end. So anyone who isn't interested in the Q&A afterwards, you're more than happy to pop off. But what I will do is I'm going to stick that screen still there. I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to turn off the green screen so that they don't look all blurry, just in case any of them have worn green. And then I'm going to take the headset off. It's like a congregation behind there, but I'm going to take this down. Where's the fourth? Fourth's not there. Fourth's in the back. Oh. Right. Yeah. Hopefully they can hear you. These are the next play guys, ladies and gents. They have flown down from Auckland. They're all very smart. They went to university, so they got one on top of me. But they have been the ones behind the scenes making the application work. Got any feedback, be sure to, of course, put it through. And then also, yeah, if you have any questions about it, it's something that might be featuring a little bit in the future. But first of all, I guess you should probably say your names. They want to know who you are and what you do.
You can go first.
Okay. Hi everyone, I was Sharjul. I think I came in like 5th or 6th in that game. I'm one of the founders of Next Play. I study software and maths and I love sports, so that's what I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm Elliot. I'm doing computer science at the University of Auckland, and I'm also super passionate about sports, especially American sports. And as part of Next Play, I'm the sort of technical co-founder.
Hello everyone, my name's Omar. I was adminning the questions in the background, so I was pushing all the questions throughout and timing them just right. I do a Bachelor of Software Engineering and a Bachelor of Commerce. I'm also very passionate about sports. I especially love playing sports and watching a few of them. So yeah, we're keen to hear some of your feedback. We want to get closer.
Here we go. all very well-educated individuals. We got there, very enjoyable. Thanks. Says Richard, you were very close to winning about 2 or 3 times, I think, Richard, in the end. We have got well done, lads, says Irish Mick. And also, I think we missed a few messages. I'll go up a little bit further.
Yeah.
We definitely shouldn't both get anything. Xander won. He gets the prize. So we haven't seen Xander come back. He might be away celebrating his victory, maybe. But yeah, if you guys have any feedback about it, of course, you get asked that on the actual Next Play app. If you've heard any of us say it's Pole Sport as well, that's just the recent name of it. Yeah, for the team, there was one question about passes between 60 and 30 and 70 and 30, but it ended at like 62 or something. That was a bit weird. I didn't notice that one. I didn't call it out though, but
someone made a mistake. I don't know who made a mistake, but maybe I should have got more points for that.
And I won. It's rigged. I demand recount. Says Irish Mick. What was your name on it though, Irish Mick? Because we had, who was Gatto? Was that you, Irish Mick? Because I know that I finished about 8th in the end. I think I dropped 2. I didn't answer too many of the questions in the end.
Yeah, you're 8.
I was 8th. I'll take 8. It's not too bad out of, I think you had about 20.
You had around 24 people.
24. So once again, thank you everyone who was taking part, because for these guys, this is very valuable in terms of being able to get kind of people playing it and getting feedback as it goes. We have got the are you for the new boy band from New Zealand?
Could be, yeah.
Not quite. I can't sing, so
Omar can sing.
I most definitely
I think
can
you'd
sing.
like to do a demonstration.
Maybe that's unusual.
But yeah, nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for tuning in. Just to confirm the the semi-finals, it is Leinster versus Stormers next week at the Aviva. And then also Glasgow Warriors, they will be taking on the Bulls at Murrayfield. So 2 good games around the corner. Where did you get the idea for this app? I'll let one of you guys go for that.
So I was doing this competition in LA, and ESPN was the sponsor for the competition. I was representing the University of Auckland, traveling overseas. We pitched it to some of the leaders in the business, and they really thought it was a good idea, so we decided to build it. And if you guys enjoy it, we'll keep doing more of it. And as we go, it'll get better and better. And the questions will be timed better. And there will be no mistakes, hopefully. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we are really against gambling. We never want anyone to put any money down. We're just trying to make a really fun experience for anyone playing. Like, you should be able to play with your friends and family, like mom even.
And we have got there was one line out question about who wins the ball. It ended up being 2. I guess they meant 16 as 2 was already off, says Yanko. Yeah, there's a few little fine-tune things that will need to take place. But yeah, hopefully as it progresses, it will slowly have those mistakes ironed out and then be all smooth running. But nonetheless, do thank you all very much for tuning in. It is currently 8:52 a.m, so we will be heading away. And yeah, see you guys all for the 7s a little bit later on tonight.
See ya.
Thank you.